Hi, we're Team 10, and this is our pitch to SecretServe regarding to how to drive up its valuation. Today we have Jack, Ben, Harry, and Nate, and Tyson. So first of all, we divided this pitch into 5 different portions to give a better idea for SecretServe as our recommendation goes through. The first portion will be an overview of the industry. Second, we'll get into some of the recommendation and assumptions we had to make because of research and information constraint. Third of all, we'll talk about some of the benefits and ultimately our recommendation and alternatives. For the fourth portion, we're going to talk about some of the counter arguments and some of the challenges that our recommendation may face, and finally also some of the financial model to defend our recommendation. Finally, we're going to talk about the plausibility of our recommendation to test out whether it's realistic to run our recommendation in a real-time scenario. And I will hand the conversation into Tyson, who will give an introduction to the industry.
Thank you, Jack. So before we jump into our recommendation, let's take a few moments to look at the industry as a whole. According to an article from MarketLine, the United States ice cream market size is roughly $12 billion and currently has a compounded growth rate of 3.4%. The United States market accounts for around 19% of the global market, and also the volume of ice cream is projected to increase to 2.86 billion kilograms, as the market has increased 5.6% since 2019. While looking at some of Porter's 5 forces in regards to SecretServe, we determined the threat of new entrants is high, the threat of bargaining power of suppliers is high, and the threat of rivalries is medium to high.
Thank you, Tyson. Next of all, we're going to talk about our recommendation and some of the assumptions that we had to make because of the information constraint. So our main recommendation is for SecretServe to make an acquisition of hydroponic farm and land within the United States. Specifically, we would recommend in the West Coast. So the benefit of our recommendation mainly is to be able to shift the whole production line to United States and have from upstream to downstream completely within the same country. For our recommendation, there are some assumptions that we had to make, again, because of the research and information constraint. First of all, we would make the assumption that the revenue and forecast SecretServe predicted for its revenue is completely accurate. This is mainly because that SecretServe did not go through IPO or SPACs. The information is not publicly available for us. And next of all, we will get into some of the benefits of our recommendation. First of all, it will be the decrease of uncertainty. Second of all, it will be the brand imagery and lots of competitive advantage that comes with it. Third of all will be the lead time decrease. And finally, it's some of the research benefit and the development of new flavor that our recommendation would be assist SecretServe to go down to. First of all, I will start out with the decrease of uncertainty. And as we see for the past 2 years, we have experienced COVID and tariff conflict between China and America. According to the international policy change, us.org, that the policy change really shift the price of goods within the United States. One of the example that was provided by the website was the change of daily goods of price from 5 to 10% pre-COVID and post-COVID. If this is mainly because of the change of international policy and the international trading expenses. If SecretServe is able to shift all of its production line within the United States, it ultimately can decrease this uncertainty of trading, and ultimately will be able to maintain their cost. Meanwhile, everyone else within the industry are having higher cost or increase of cost due to change of international policy. This ultimately will give SecretServe a competitive advantage because its ability to keep the cost at the same level. Next of all, I will talk about the second benefit, which is the brand imagery and the competitive advantage that can bring coming along with our recommendation. With the current data that was provided by SecretServe in its investor report, the current media coverage is great. SecretServe currently spending around $3,500 a month on TikTok and $3,000 a month in Instagram. So with our recommendation of shifting everything production line in United States, will give SecretServe a brand imagery of completely transparency. SecretServe is able to completely measure its CO2 emission and its wage control. This is completely possible only for SecretServe, as the Drug and Medicine Administration only provides information within the United States. This will allow customers to see the ethical side of SecretServe, ultimately differentiate SecretServe from rest of the individual brand and the big major player within the ice cream industry. Moreover, with the future surge price of acquisition for hydronic palm as the legalization of marijuana is going through, SecretServe will be able to have this unique position where the smaller individual brand are unable to purchase the hydroponic farm in the future as the price is too high, where the bigger major players, they will not be able to do the same thing as SecretServe due to its long-term lease obligation. Next of all, I will hand it to Nate to talk about the next benefit of our recommendation.
Thanks, Jack. So according to the data provided in our case, SecretServe has an average lead time of around 60 to 90 days. And this could be a major issue as the firm is partnering with more major retailers and expanding into the different regions. If they don't have enough supply to meet the demand that these new markets may consist of, there could be a high amount of impairment in revenue. So by purchasing a hydroponic farm and land in the U.S., SecretServe will be able to move the entire production line, as Jack mentioned, from upstream to downstream, hence greatly reducing their lead time. According to data provided from the case study, lead time reduction and process cycle improvement of ice cream by Hossein, our team estimates that this purchase will lead to a decrease in overall lead time by more than 30%. And this is mainly time saved from international shipping and delivery. Additionally, SecretServe will also be able to realize higher margins due to cheaper inputs and decreased shipping costs. They will also be able to continue to establish themselves as an industry leader with better sustainability practices because of less fuel usage because of the domestic sourcing. Now I'm going to pass it over to Harry to discuss another benefit.
Thanks, Nate. When SecretServe begins producing a lot of their ingredients domestically, this will allow them to start new flavors because it will free up some of their time and money that's spent acquiring ingredients internationally. So this will allow them, when an idea comes up about a new flavor, to introduce it quicker than their competitors can. So when they have their own hydroponic farm, they'll be able to conduct more research in regards to these flavors, and we believe this will create new flavors faster than their competition.
Well, I'm going to talk about some of the financial counter-argument. First of all, why not leasing? By leasing, the firm is missing the long-term competitive advantage, as we mentioned before. Lastly, it does not offer any protection against new entry, as the business model can be fairly easy copied. Also, the lease price could increase as the legalization of marijuana goes through in the United States. Some may argue that generally 70% of the acquisition fell, but this is not the case for hydroponic farm, as is in the technology agriculture space. According to the FT Partner acquisition research, the technology agriculture space can actually have around 90% successful rate for its acquisition.
As shown by our merge acquisition model, it is actually a creative deal even in the worst scenario.
Thanks, Jack. So how plausible is our idea? According to a case study from Golston University, the tiger nut and the maga root have been proven that they can both successfully be grown in the hydroponic farm.
Given all of the reasons and benefits, we deeply believe that the acquisition of a hydroponic farm is the best way for SecretServe to drive up its valuation. Thank you so much.